Good morning, my little mathematicians. Today we're going to be learning about 13.3, which is solving area equations. So if you could please turn to page 9 in your Mod 1314 packet, that would be great. You can go ahead and start with the warm-up problems 1 through 4, where you're just solving for x. You can pause the video, try them, and then unpause it and follow along with us. Or watch along for the first example. Once you think you've mastered it, press pause, try the rest, and then unpause the video and follow along. The first thing I want to do for number 1 is draw a line down from your equal sign. Then on the right-hand side, I could simplify because half of 8 is the same as taking 8 and dividing it by 2. So half of 8 is 4, and then bring down your x. Okay, also bring down your equal sign and that 24 on this side. Now I can't simplify this side anymore, and I can't simplify this side anymore. So the last thing I want to do is I want to get x by itself. How you do that is the inverse operation. Well, the inverse of multiplying by 4 is to divide by 4, because 4 divided by 4 is 1. So now you have 1x, or just x. But whatever you do to one side, you always need to do to the other. And 24 divided by 4 is 6. So for number 1, the answer was 6. For number 2, I'm again going to draw a line down from my equal sign. I can't simplify this anymore, and I can't simplify this anymore. To get x by itself, you do the inverse of multiplying by 2, which is to divide by 2. And whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so now you have 1x. And 50 divided by 2 is 25. What would be wise is to always plug your answer back in to check. So for the first one, if I wanted to make sure that I got the right answer, here's my original equation. What I'd do is I'd rewrite my original, except the only thing that changes is what I think x is. I'm going to plug in that number. So if I think x is 6, I'm going to plug in a 6. And for the second one, if I go to check it, again, write out your original, and then replace your x with what you think the answer is. We think that 25 is the answer for x for number 2. Okay, well, let's check these and see if they're right. Half of 8 is 4. 4 times 6 is 24. Bring down your equal sign, bring down that 24, bring it down again. You have a true statement that you end with, so then you know that for sure 6 was the right answer. Same thing with this one. Bring down your 50, bring down your equals. 2 times 25 is 50. You ended with a true statement again, so with confidence, you can know that 25 is the right answer. Let's try this one. It looks a little bit more complicated. Always take it apart when you have a fraction like this and kind of just simplify the top part and then simplify the bottom part as much as you can as well. So if I were to just focus on the top part, the first thing I'd want to do is simplify inside of those parentheses. 5 plus 7 is 12. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring everything else down. Now the top part looks a lot more simple. I just have 2 times 12, which is 24, over 3, which is saying 24 divided by 3, which is 8. Okay. Or once you get to this step, you could simplify and see 3 can go into 12 4 times, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So now you have 2 times 4 is 8 over 1, and 8 over 1 is just 8. Here's the tricky thing. Let's say that 3 could go into one of the numbers inside of here in the parentheses. You cannot reduce until all that's left is just to be multiplied. Okay, if you ever see a plus sign somewhere in here, then you can't reduce it. So if that sounds confusing at all, then just don't cross cancel and reduce, okay? But If there's a plus sign ever, you can't reduce yet until there's all plus signs are gone and it's only left with multiplication. All right, let's move on to number 4. Draw a line down from your equal sign. And when you have an X in the middle right here, it's okay to go out of order because of the commutative property of multiplication. I could move around the X and instead go to this 10. So I could do half of 10, which is 5, and then bring down that X. Bring down your equals, bring down your 30. Now it's a lot easier to look at. How do you get X by itself? Well, the inverse of multiplying by 5 is to divide by 5. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so you have 1x equals 30 divided by 5 is 6. Now, these should have been review, and technically that means these are as well, but what do these look like? Notice how they have like height in them? Isn't that what we're dealing with when we talk about shapes? So these are actually going to be unknowns within area of shape formulas. Take a look at these and see if you can figure out what formula of what shape these look like. For instance, this could be area equals base times height divided by 2. That sounds like a triangle. Okay, area equals maybe base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. That's the area formula for a trapezoid. And same thing, base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. That's another area formula for a trapezoid. So in the past, they always gave us the base and height, and then we tried to find the area. Now they might give us the area, and we have to solve for a missing piece. So if we take a look at number 1, this would be saying the area is 40, the base is 5, find the height. So we'd have to plug it into our area equals base times height divided by 2 formula, and then we would get to this step, and then you just simplify it. Okay, so if you have this, I'm just gonna rewrite it as 5 over 2 times height. That's a 5. This is saying 5 over 2 times height. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide. Well, when you divide by 5 over 2, remember that 5 over 2 divided by itself. We know that's just 1, but here's what's happening. You keep the first fraction the same. You change division to multiplication, and you flip the second fraction. So anytime that you're multiplying something by a fraction, that's the same. If you're dividing it by itself, it's the same as multiplying by its reciprocal, because you see that it started as 5 over 2, and then when I divide by itself, I end up multiplying by its reciprocal. So that means I'm going to take this 5 over 2 and multiply it by 2 over 5, because 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. So now you have 1 over 1, right? 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 over 1 is just 1. So you have 1h, or just h. Now that you got h by itself, I need to do the same thing to the other side of multiplying this side by 2 over 5. So let's put that over 1. And I can cross cancel if I want. 5 can go into 40 8 times, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now you have 2 times 8 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. So you have 16 over 1, which is just 16. And 1 over 1, which is just 1, or 1h. So I solved for the height and got 16. Let's go ahead and look at our next one. First thing I want to do is simplify inside of here in the parentheses. So 1 plus 4 is 5 times the height over 2 equals 20. Now this looks kind of similar to the other one. 5h over 2 is the same as 5 over 2 times the height. So what should you multiply by to get it to cancel? The reciprocal of itself, of 2/5. So that those cancel and these cancel. Now you just have 1h or h. Since I multiplied the 5 over 2 by 2/5, let's multiply the 20 by 2/5 as well. When you're multiplying by a whole number, put it over 1. These can cross cancel. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 20 divided by 5 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8 over 1 times 1 is 1. And 8 over 1 is just 8. So 8 is your height. Let's try our last example. I can simplify inside of these parentheses right here. 2 plus 5 is 7 times height divided by 2 equals 14. 7 times height divided by 2 is the same as 7 over 2 times the height. If I want to get rid of that 7 over 2, what do you think you're going to multiply by? If you said 2 over 7, good job. Because those cancel and those cancel, all you're left with is just the h. But whatever you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So I'm going to multiply this side, this 14, by 2/7 as well. Put the whole number over 1, and then cross cancel if possible, which in this case I can. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 14 divided by 7 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. So 4 over 1 is just 4. So this one you solved for your height being 4. If this was in a word problem or in a drawing, they would have given you one base is 2, the other base is 5 of your trapezoid, and that the area was 14, you needed to solve for the height. You guys now know how to calculate the area of given shapes if they give you missing dimensions, and that's 13.3. Congratulations on mastering yet another math standard.